Thanks, Gene and Ted. As you've seen, the Fixed Ops Roundtable brings you innovators, new technology, and the best experts in the business, including Randy and Kim Brinkman, John Fitzpatrick, and the third of 4 groups highlighting women in fixed operations. But first, a message from our good friends at BG Products.
In 1971, our 7 founders turned an idea into a business. Today, we celebrate 50 years of innovation in the automotive aftermarket, leading the pack every step of the way. We wanted a way to show recognition for all the people who helped this small Midwestern company become a global leader in automotive maintenance. A logo is a symbol of who you are and what you do. This logo is centered around 50 years, which marks BG's major milestone. The ribbons on the side represent this great celebration. The shield signifies strength through products, through partnership, through character. The oil drop is iconic throughout the BG family, representing quality products. The 7 stars are a tribute to the 7 founders. If only they could see us now. Thank you for your continued support as we drive to a successful future together. Please join us in celebrating BG's first 50 years.
It's so vitally important that we have the Leukemia Lymphoma Society on our side, be the front runner in the newest, most up-to-date technologies for fighting cancer.
To give or get help, visit lls.org.
Well, thanks for staying with us here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable Pay It Forward. And we are joined now by a familiar face to the Fixed Ops Roundtable and a familiar face to the automotive industry. It's the husband and wife experts of Kim and Randy Brinkman. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Gene. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, always glad to have you here, and especially people looking forward to the Ask the Expert segment. And I'm also excited now because, Randy, a lot of people are familiar with you, your background at NADA and your history of consulting and the Ask the Expert segments, but they're not all familiar with Kim. So, Kim, I know that you were a dealer, but that's about all I know.
Well, I was previously, in my previous life, I was a flight attendant, and I was married to a car dealer, and he died suddenly. Oh. So I was left with the dilemma of, okay, what do I do next? So I decided to jump into the business and continue the business, which I did for about 9 years. And then I had a single point domestic store in a suburb of Chicago. So what I decided to do then was General Motors was channeling stores, and they came to me and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I jumped at it. Okay. And at that point I was looking at either purchasing another store, and Randy and I were seeing each other. So we put our heads together and we decided, let's go out and do our own thing. And here we are 11 years later.
Oh, that's great. So,
adventure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Randy, tell us a little bit about how the two of you work in the consulting business together.
Well, we've really been blessed, Gene. After being with NADA for almost 20 years, what you know is important, who you know is important, but who knows you is the most important. And we've had a great time being in front of a lot of people, 19 and a half years of every other week, having 32 to 42 of our viewers from Monday through Friday. You get to know a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So we decided in 2010 to go out on our own, and we did. We've been connected with probably 11 or 12 manufacturers. Been very blessed to be a lot of really known people in our industry, both publicly and privately. And so here we are going on our 12th year, and our expertise, I guess, is just in dealership operations. Right. We've both done it, and what with the training with NADA, everything from understanding the financial statement. For BMW, we actually pretty much once a year, COVID messed us up, but once a year we go to Woodcliff Lakes and we have sessions explaining their 11-page financial statement. Yeah. So we have a unique business in the fact that we do something most businesses don't do. And that's 12 times a year. We put together a complete financial statement as if it's year end. I mean, who else does that? Yeah. So The history is there. So we're able to take the information from the financial statement and say, this is we do this. No, you don't. Well, no, this is what we do. No, you don't. Because there's no way the numbers would be on the financial statement based on what you do. So we've been very, very lucky with that. And again, a big part of our operations is fixed operations. So we're very, very honored and pleased to be with you guys on the roundtable.
Well, and we are honored to have you. So are you both ready to get into the questions?
Sure.
Let's go.
All right. And I think this first one is to Kim. It's from Portland, Oregon. A service manager asks, I want to raise my department's CSI. What one thing can I do to make the biggest impact?
Well, think about it. You know, there's a moment of truth in every business where you have an employee that's speaking directly to a customer and you're thinking, oh, is this customer ever going to come back and do business with us again? So the first thing I look at is ESI, my employee satisfaction index, because an unhappy customer is never going to come back. If I'm going to get good CSI, I've got to have good ESI. So I look around, I take the temperature of people in the drive, whether it's my advisor, my cashier, my porters. What is their mood? What is their temperature? So it's my job as a leader to make sure that everybody is up for the task. Because let's face it, you know, your advisor sees more people than anybody else in your dealership and impacts more people than any other person that's in your store. So it's really important that I look around and make sure that I don't have grumpy employees. First of all, before I start looking at surveys, before I start pulling reports, what's the temperature of my employees?
And, you know, Kim, I totally agree with that. You know, we can walk into a dealership and you can just feel it. Gene, you've done it. You can just feel how things are going.
Absolutely.
If you've got an employee that's unhappy, they're never going to give any very good customer service. So these are obvious things you can look at. You've been to a restaurant, you've been to a bank, you've been to an airline counter, and you sit there and say, you know, this employee really doesn't want to be here today. And it sours the whole thing. So that's something that you can do at first without doing a lot of information, gathering a lot of information. Yep. If you want to increase your CSI, first of all, you have to define purpose. From this manager's question, I guess they have a number problem. The number is lower than what they would like to be, whether it be region or their owner or whatever. So first of all, you got to define purpose. What number do I need to get to? And what's keeping me from getting to that number? And I've got to share it with my staff. I mean, they have to understand where you're headed. Then you go through your surveys and find out, okay, do I have am I getting a particular ding based on a process that I have? Right. Maybe it's just a simple, small process I have to change. Or maybe I do have an employee that needs just a little coaching. Right. Kim was very, very spot on when she says, take the temperature, but it's not only what you see, what's going on the telephones. There's a portion of it that you may or may not know anything about. Yeah. So you've got to set the culture. You've got to know where you're headed. And, you know, it's going to be a journey and not a destination.
Right. Yeah. And I love that formula, ESI equals CSI. All right, so here's the next question. Out of Atlanta, a service manager asks, with the current economic climate, our dealer group is putting a huge emphasis on lowering expenses. I find there are very few expenses I can really impact and lower. Any suggestions?
Yeah, what a great question and what a great insight. One of the things that we do when we meet with our dealers and perform seminars and classes and so forth is we have them take the income and expense statement. Line 1 is sales, line 2 is gross, and then at the bottom is a plus or minus number depending on all the expenses that are listed there. So what we have them do is we start at the bottom and say start at the bottom and go up and put a check mark next to the expenses that you can really, really do something about. And really, it's quite amazing what we find. Now in service, Kim, what do we always find?
Well, there are 3 expenses you really can't do much about: people, policy, and loaner car expense.
I mean, those are the ones those are the ones that are something that you can quite do about.
I'm sorry.
I mean, rent, for example, go talk to your dealer and say, can you lower my rent, and come back and tell me how that worked out for you? Right. I mean, that isn't going to happen. But you look at those 3 expenses and it's people, policy, and loaner cars. Well, you know, I sit there and say, okay, well, loaner car expense. Let me ask you a question. Would you like your loaner car expense to be 0? And of course they say, well, no. I said, well, then how do you lower loaner car expense? And I get a whole bunch of answers. They said, you know, don't loan out the loaner. I said, no. The loaner car expense is the number of vehicles that you have. Whether it's in their driveway or in your driveway is going to be the same expense. I say be very, very careful what you talk to your service advisors about our loaner car's expense is high. The first thing they're going to do is stop loaning out the cars. Right. And now you've got a huge kerfuffle. And now we go back to the first question about your CSI. Now the customers are all mad. You've got to get involved and say, why didn't you just give them a car?
So it's really about the cycle time of the loaner car.
Absolutely.
That's really the focus of the loaner car expense.
But that won't really impact your expense. So there's not much you can do about it. You decide as a manager how many vehicles we're going to have in service. Policy. How about policy, Kim?
Well, the first thing you do with your policy account is you pull that every week. And in your meetings, you're looking at that policy expense. What did I buy and why did I buy it?
Absolutely. Right.
And then you stay on top of that. You have an opportunity to look at that every week or 52 times a year instead of once a month. Because once it gets away from you, it's already passed. You can't stop the behavior of, when we're looking at that, we can say, all right, why do we do this?
And Kim's exactly right. You've got to do this weekly. And we don't do that. We wait till the end of the month, or we wait till the 11th or the 5th to the 10th of the next month. And then you can't remember why you did it. It's a training moment at that time. What did I buy and why did I buy it? Because you don't want your policy to be zero. Policy is good stuff if it's done right. Did we kill ourselves with friendly fire, or was it done to make a loyal customer? And then last is your people. Let's just take your advisors, for example. You really don't want your advisor payroll to go down. Right. Think about it. If you paid your advisors $40,000 this month, how do I pay them $80,000 next month? Because all theirs is a percentage of the value that you got. And if you'll allow me, it's not like the sales department where you bonus somebody a large amount of money to make something go away. Theirs stays pretty much linear. So really, there's not many expenses that you can do. And when you think about it, Gene, the question was, how do I lower my expenses? Right. Do you look at your expenses as a raw dollar or a percentage of gross? Because my rent doesn't change. But if my gross goes up, the raw dollars are the same, but the percentage of gross is lower. Right. So when you think about expenses, and there's not that many you can do anything about, aren't we really more sales directors? Because our job is to increase sales. Everything else kind of takes care of itself.
So it really is about the perception and how you're looking at it. It's the analysis of the data.
I would think so. Let's face it, raw dollars are raw dollars. Yeah. But there's not much you can do about a lot of those raw dollars. It just is what it is. But great question. And if you also think about it, if you look at the income and expense statement, the expenses you can do something about are at the top. And as you go down, they become less and less able for you to do anything about.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, good stuff. Here's a question from a general manager in Boston. He says, I feel like we're writing too many single line repair orders. I continually speak to my service manager and my staff, but there isn't much change. What can I do? What am I missing?
You want me to take it?
Yeah, you take it.
Okay. What can I do? Well, first of all, you've got to define what a single line repair order is. A 30, 60, and 90,000 mile service will come up in a report as a single line. A menu will come up as a single line. Well, if all you did was write 30, 60, 90,000 mile services and all you did was write menus, I hope you got 100% single line repair orders, because that would be a great thing for the business.
Yeah.
But what you have to do first is, well, Kim, you always talk about MPIs.
Yeah, the MPI is the multi-point inspection. You've got to see,
Compliance.
are my technicians compliant with every car, every customer, every time? And are my advisors selling it? So that's the first thing that I look at. I mean, today there's so much legal liability from not doing a good multi-point inspection or not doing one at all. There's just way too much danger there in not making those employees, not making my technicians make sure they're doing a good MPI. So,
and I agree with that. Compliance first. There's two parts of that compliance. Am I getting, I'm going to say 100%. We know utopia is only found in the dictionary. I got that. But am I getting 100% compliance on all my MPIs? Because that's building the story for future business. And compliance is not only is the technician doing the MPI, but are the advisors actually selling what's on there? If you find an advisor that the technician has the perception that they won't sell, they'll quit doing it.
And the other thing is, are the technicians submitting photos and videos? I mean, we have great percentages, closing ratios when, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yep.
So when the technician is sending that either to the advisor or directly to the customer, I mean, that's just a home run every time.
Absolutely. That's spot on. So for this question here about single line repair orders, first of all, investigate, but start off with the obvious. Are you MPI compliant? Are you doing them? And are you selling them? And then,
are the advisors selling the work?
Are you sending pictures and videos? Sending pictures and videos will, and all the numbers have proven this, immediately you will have a better success rate with the same day selling.
It's really about trust, right?
Oh, it's all about trust.
Yeah.
And that's where the trust and credibility comes in when the advisor is presenting that information to the customer. I mean, we want to tell them what's wrong with their vehicle. And if we don't do a good MPI, there's no way we can build that trust and credibility with our customers. If we want customers to come back and buy from us again, we've got to make sure we're developing that credibility and trust with our guests.
Gene, you and I have been in this business a long time. Isn't it amazing what videos and pictures have done to help us in our service department? And it's not like something that you've got to build up to. It's immediate. It's just been tremendous.
It has been. And there's so many valuable tools out there that integrate with those video solutions as well.
Absolutely.
So it's really good stuff. Yeah.
And the thing about it is there's no downside to it. Zero downside to it. The customer's either going to say yes or no. You've shown them credibly what's going on. It's good for the customer. It's good for the dealership. It's just good for the relationship.
Yeah. The biggest hurdle, I think, is getting our technicians to embrace that technology. Yeah. We've got a lot of guys that have been with us a long time, and they're slow sometimes to
come to the party,
to accept that this new technology, it is what it is, and we have to embrace it. And we've got to make sure that they're doing that because, we want that customer to stay loyal to us. And the only way they're going to stay loyal to us is if we can give them good information.
And they trust it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as always, this has been a great segment, and I'm really excited that Kim joined us this time. It was really great information that you shared, some neat ideas too that I know our audience is going to love. Kim and Randy, if people want to reach out to you and get a hold of you and have you come to offer the benefit of your expertise for their dealership or their auto group, how do they reach out?
Well, phone calls are free. I mean, my phone number is at the bottom of the deal, and much to her dissatisfaction, sometime if my phone rings, I answer it, and a lot of times it's a spam call. But if you call, I will answer it. But here's the deal: if you call, you've got to leave me your cell number. I would rather swallow glass than go through the gatekeeper at your store trying to find you. So we'll call you back. You can email us or whatever. We'd love to hear from you. We love this business, and it's going to be our opinion.
We're lifers.
It's our opinion, so we're going to be right. But we can throw some additional maybe spins on it that maybe you thought of, maybe you didn't, and we can learn from you. Right. So we're always open, please.
Yeah.
And folks, one of the great things that we love about Randy and Kim is the reputation that they bring, the feedback that we get from their segments and from Randy's segment, and just how many people have networked with us because of the things that you've done to impact their story. Appreciate it very much. And we also say thank you for contributing to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which is what we're all about here, giving back to the community and our Pay It Forward event. Randy and Kim Brinkman here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Well, we are honored to be joined now by the team at Maple Hill Auto Group from Kalamazoo, Michigan. And Kalamazoo, as everyone knows, is famous for so many things like Sweetwater Donuts and Gibson guitars and Checker cabs, but really they're more famous for the Maple Hill Auto Group and their leader, Service Director Jeff Daniel. Everyone, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Hey, Jeff, before we get into introducing your team and a great discussion that I know you're going to have, I just want to talk a little bit with you because we've been connected on LinkedIn. I love the nuggets of wisdom that you put out on a regular basis. But tell me your background. How did you get involved with being a service director? And also, how did you end up at the Maple Hill Auto Group?
Well, I grew up in the business long time ago, and I don't want to date myself and tell how many years, but in the car business has been in my family's blood forever. I ended up working at a local service facility here and a different dealership. This opportunity was a retiring manager that was walking out the door.
Okay.
I've been here for a long period of time, oversaw the construction of the new facility. Kind of reached the end of, I've done it, I've seen it, a breath of fresh air, it's time for a change. So I was indirectly hit on LinkedIn and also on Facebook with, hey, you should come in and interview with the group. I believe it went very well. I was offered the position. My old employer didn't want me to leave, actually kind of wrote a check to stay. And I said, I'm ready for a change and ready to, this group is very involved in the community, very different in nature. They're not a normal dealership. And by that, I mean, the employees come first. We're not open Sundays. We don't beat the daylights out of the staff to be here Saturdays and late evenings. And we're open, till 8 o'clock at night. The owner knows everybody by name when they walk through. The last dealership, not so much.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of it. And for me, it was not comfort zone because I still preach and teach as much as I can. And that's what's nice about this group. They're receptive. They want to learn. They're here for that reason. They want to move on and continue the growth of the dealership because I'm not going to be here forever. A few people are debating that, but I just don't know what that date's going to be yet. But I still enjoy coming here every day because it's a lot of fun, especially with the people I work with.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. And we are looking so forward to this discussion with the rest of your team. We've gotten to know, Ted and I have several of your team members who have actually been on other Fixed Ops Roundtables. So welcome back. But why don't you start by introducing your team and then the show is yours.
Starting with Andrea Darnell in the upper, well, she's in the middle of my screen, but she is our service manager. She has grown from a minor position, receptionist, years and years ago, on up the ladder. Cassandra Westfall and Lauren Armbruster are both our Subaru service advisors. They also write other products on the drive. And then Brittany Parker is our master certified ASE Subaru technician that's joining us to discuss what's great about working here and what's great about women in the industry and what we can do to see more women walk through the doors that want to work in this car business. My thing is, what were you thinking when you started in this business? Why was that important? What was the hot button that says, gee, I want to work in the car business? Let's start with Cassie.
I definitely just wanted to stay in a career that is going to be ever evolving. Always chances to move up, learn new things. There's always positions that are opening up, doing different things and just meeting new people. I love coming in contact with a lot of people and just being able to learn new things every day, really.
Andrea, what do you have to add?
So when I first got this job and I started out, like you said, as a receptionist, I didn't come into it thinking, oh, I want to work in the service industry. I want to work on cars. I started out as a receptionist. At first, it was a part-time job for me. But then over the years, I've been here for almost 12 years now. I've worked in multiple departments, and I don't work on cars or anything like that. To me, it's all about customer service, and I just love working with people, and I love what I do on a daily basis. So.
But today you are working on cars.
I know. So So
you're out on the front line with
what,
stuff done.
A couple weeks now, I just started getting my hands dirty, and I know I actually really like that aspect of it. I mean, do I want to work on cars for a living? No. Is it really cool that I know how to do some things and that I can get my hands dirty? Absolutely.
Brittany, how about you? What were you thinking?
Well, I grew up on a farm, so I've always fixed things, tractors, cars, whatnot. And I decided to go to school for it because it was a 2-year program and you can make good money doing it. And now that I've been doing it for like 7 years, I can't see myself doing anything else. I love fixing cars and I love building engines. I love diagnosing things. It keeps me going every single day, and I can't sit still. So that's why I do it.
And Lauren, how about you?
So much like Andrea, I also started off in the business as a receptionist. I moved from being a receptionist to working in a marketing department with a car dealership. And I always envied the service department because it was always hustle and bustle and lots of different things going on. It always looked like such a lively department. So that's what I was drawn to. It was the excitement of service, being able to work with a team and the same people every day, and then being able to help customers and the customer service aspect. So I was really drawn to that, and it's by far been my favorite position in working through dealerships.
Was there a button? So let's start with Brittany. Was there a button when you decided you're going to be a technician? You're obviously in a not level playing field. You're in a male-dominated industry for the most part. Was there a trigger mechanism that says, I've got something to prove and I'm going to be the best I can be and get out of my way? Did you see that walking into a dealership? Did you see it before you even started in a dealership?
I saw that when I went to school for it. I went to Lansing Community College of their 2.5-year program there, and there was no other women there. I mean, instructors or anybody who was going to school there. So, it was definitely intimidating at first. First couple semesters, I was like, do I really want to do this? I feel a little awkward being here with all these guys, but, I was like, yeah, I do want to do this. So I'm going to do this for myself, not for anybody else. And I kept with it, and it's been successful so far. So.
But, this business is dominated by men. That the common myth is you have to be a motorhead to be successful in the business, either on the desk, working on cars. You've got to stand there and be able to talk to somebody about their transmission problem and know the answer, diagnose it on the drive. Is that right? Or do you see that? Is that true? Is it false? And Andrea, what do you see from where you're at?
So in my experience, I mean, like I said, I don't work on cars. I do not have a ton of knowledge on vehicles, but that's where I rely on Brittany, any other of the technicians. They're the ones that I need to rely on to tell me the information so that I can go relay that information to the customer. That's where my customer service comes in. And that's where Brittany's, gearhead, motorhead, whatever you want to call that comes in. And, we have to work together in order to relay that to the customer. So no, I don't feel like I need to be that person because I have technicians who technically, are, and that's what they want to do. And then my job is to explain that to the customer.
Being the manager now, do you still get prodded with, I want to talk to a man?
Yes. I mean, obviously we do still see that on a daily basis. I don't think necessarily people come out and say, I want to talk to a man. But once I do talk to them and they're like, well, is there anyone else I can talk to? It's just like, no, I'm the manager. You have to speak with me. But still, sometimes that's still just not good enough for people.
Cassie, what do you think about that? You think you have to be a gearhead? Now you work in a body shop. You were in the front office of a body shop. Then you got into the apartment business, leasing agent. And then I dragged you out of that and got you back into this mess and said, welcome back to the car business. Has there been that fear of not being a motorhead to you, or has it been easier than you thought?
I don't think I had any fear of that. I think you somewhat need to have some sort of knowledge to keep your head afloat and really be able to like hold your own on the drive and answering the phone and getting all these calls. And, you know, you can't always just stop and go ask a technician a question. So just having that knowledge that you're gaining every day, and by asking those questions in the past, I do think that it's just good to have that knowledge. I don't think you need to be like a gearhead, but I have had men specifically ask, can I talk to that guy over there? And or on the phone ask to talk to a technician. They don't want to talk to me. They automatically assume I don't have that, which just, you know, makes me feel even better when I'm like, okay, well, ask me. And if I need to ask somebody else, I will go and grab somebody. But most of the time I can hold my own for the most part until I can get them in the door and have a technician look at the car. But I think it's important to have some sort of knowledge and something to stand on. And, you know, it's just easier to keep learning that way, like hands-on or just asking questions.
Lauren, do you agree with all that? Or do you have something totally different to throw in there?
Well, for me, I mean, when I started in this industry, in the service department, I mean, I had zero car knowledge. For me, I think it's your willingness to be able to ask questions and to be honest with the customer and say, I might not have that answer right now, but I can go ask and I will find that out for you. So communication is the biggest part of my job, and being able to relay that to the customer, and then have the communication with the technician. So the technician is going to give me the information I need and then be able to relay that appropriately to the customer. So no, I don't think you need to be a gearhead. I think you just need to have some good communication skills and be willing to learn something new every single day, which is what we do.
This is one of those opinion questions. Why, you know, in a male-dominated business, so roughly 20% of the dealerships in the country have a female advisor. Roughly 15% or less have a female manager. Less than 10% have a female technician. Why don't we see more, or in your opinion, why don't we see more females apply to work in this business? Andrea, let's start with you.
You know, that's actually a good question, because like I said, like when I started 12 years ago, I had no experience, but I also did not have any fear of coming in and doing the job. If there's anything that we could say to anybody even thinking about or trying to get somebody in this business, there really isn't anything to be afraid of. Like, it's a lot of on-the-job training, and you're going to learn everything as you go. So I don't think people should be fearful of coming in as a woman.
What about the accountability factor of, you know, you're walking in and are you worried about the technicians running you over with, you know, being the woman that just started, and, you know, do you feel picked on, or has it been an easy transition?
It's been an easy transition. I've never felt picked on at all whatsoever here. Okay. If anything, they should be scared of me.
Brittany, you're laughing a lot. How about you? Why can't we get more female technicians? And we have two right now, which is two more than 13,000 dealerships have in the country. Why can't we get more of you with your ambition and desire to fix cars for a living, to work a 5-day work week and make a lot of money and be happy?
Well, like I said, it was intimidating to me at first, but you also have to invest a lot of money into your tools. So there's that. But when you're starting out, if you don't have somebody to work with or look up to or ask questions to or borrow tools from, I think that can be super intimidating as a technician. Might be easier if we had like a plan in place for people to come in and just work underneath somebody who they can trust and won't feel bad asking questions to and whatnot. That would take a lot of the intimidation factor out of it. But once you get in the swing of things, there's no reason why you shouldn't want to be a technician. I love it.
And I've seen a few stores that are now being built with that in mind, like women's locker rooms, women's changing rooms and showers. I mean, you know, I've seen how grubby and nasty you can get when you're pulling an engine out of a vehicle, and then, you have to knock on a door and hope that nobody's in the men's bathroom. Those are things that we have to fix as an industry to attract. It's hard to say, well, that's the men's room. Okay, where's the women's room to change and wash my hands? That's up front where the customers use. So a lot of that, we have to applaud and really, really applaud the people that are doing what you do in the environment that we've created, because it is not and hasn't been female friendly for years. So for that, I applaud. Lauren, what do you think? Why don't we get more female advisors or female advisors that want to grow into management roles?
I think it might be a lack of awareness. It is intimidating not knowing how the system works. What I was drawn to again is the team environment and working with everyone. So I think maybe getting that knowledge out that you're not alone, that you're not just one person trying to sell one job all the time, that you do have a team backing you. You do have people around you that are willing to help you and that want you to succeed. So, kind of having that awareness of how the flow works and how the dealership works, work study programs, things like that to get people in to show how the ins and outs of the lane really works would be helpful.
If you were starting in the industry today and walking in the door as a service advisor, or if you knew somebody that wanted to get into the field as a service advisor, what's the number one thing you'd say, do this day one and you'll be successful?
I would say jump in and ask questions. Go for it. Just try it out, ask questions, be present, be willing to communicate, and you will succeed.
And we'll be back with more from the Maple Hill Auto Group right after this from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
It's so vitally important that we have the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society on our side, be the front runner in the newest, most up-to-date technologies for fighting cancer.
To give or get help, visit lls.org.
We now continue with Jeff Daniel and the team at the Maple Hill Auto Group.
Cassie, what have you been, this business is unique in a lot of ways. What have you been most surprised with in a positive nature that you wouldn't know if you didn't work in a car dealership? It's totally different environment. It is not retail, even though it's retail. There's got to be some good and there's got to be some bad. What's a little of each? What's the good? What's the bad?
Honestly, dealerships have a very unique atmosphere and a very unique employee base. That's not something that you're going to get just walking into a restaurant or working retail literally anywhere else, doing serving, anything like that. You talk to these people, you build relationships with them, you spend literally more time with them than you do really outside of work. So I think the relationships you build and just the people who have your back most of the time, like Lauren said, we honestly all work so good as a team. We're really like a family, in my opinion. But the bad part of that is you're with each other so much, you start, getting on each other's nerves. But I don't think that really has anything to do with the auto industry at all. But negatives, I would definitely say, just as a woman being in there, is like everyone else said, it is really intimidating to walk in and not be on the same level of playing field with knowledge or experience as most of the guys. And a lot of them, when I first started, kind of expected me to just know what they were talking about, specific things, and didn't want to take the time to walk me through things. But I don't really get that much anymore. So I'd say it's mostly positive experiences for the last few years, honestly.
Andre, what do you think about that? The good stuff and the bad stuff, there's got to be a little of each.
Yeah, I feel like you said, parts, orders, things like that. The bad part of it is, and what customers don't see that we see on a daily basis is, if we don't get a part in on time, we order something and it's on back order. We are, as advisors, especially, we're doing everything we can for the customer to get your car taken care of. Some people don't see on the back end that we don't have the parts in stock. Parts may have messed up and ordered the wrong parts for us. There's a lot of back end that they don't necessarily see that, and they don't see the struggle that we have to go through in order to make it right for the customer. So that can be hard on, all of us, not just the advisors and the managers and mostly the technicians as well. But it's really hard to try to make up for what others might be lacking. So that is a struggle on a daily basis for sure.
And I saw Brittany just grinning and waiting to tackle into the back ordered parts. But
well, it's a big deal. I mean, we struggle with this every day. So it's a big part of it.
It is. And from a technician standpoint, there's so many good things that can go on. Without beating up on parts right now, what are the great things you see working in a dealership? And what are a couple of the bad things, Brittany?
Well, I love what Cassie said about us being a family here, because that's kind of how I feel. We definitely have each other's back. Pretty much every shop that I've worked at, I've built relationships with the other technicians, and I love these guys. They're awesome to work with. So that's just fantastic about this business. I also like how our boss here, you and Jim, take care of us and feed us and whatnot. So that's fantastic, especially what Jim did over the pandemic, ordering food for us every week from local businesses and helping out that way. I mean, that was just fantastic how he did that. There's some negatives, people can be rude and whatnot, but these are people's vehicles and they rely on them to get back and forth. So I have a little bit of empathy there. I also, this is the gearhead in me, I guess you could say. I like seeing blown up engines and stuff like that. I think that is fantastic. People don't get to see that kind of stuff like I do. So I enjoy that.
And here's the question that everybody wants to dread, but it's the most important on this panel. Tomorrow morning, every one of you owns a dealership. You walk in the door and the place is yours. You're handed the keys. How do each one of you get more women in the service business? How do you get female technicians? How do you preach and teach to get female advisors? Lauren, we'll start with you.
Honestly, Jeff, I think you said it earlier. Make sure there is a women's locker room. There's so many dealerships that do not have that, and I think it's huge. Just knowing that there is a safe space, a clean space, a space for us to go, change, use the restroom, whatnot. Even, when I started in this business, I had a 6-month-old baby at home and who was still nursing. So a space for me to go and to pump was extremely important. So that would be my number one priority, is making sure that there is a women's locker room.
Cassie, how about you? Tomorrow morning, the front of the building has your name on it. What are you going to do to get females in the business?
Honestly, I think seeing is believing. I think that it can sell itself as long as you can show that it's already worked in the past and it's working for you now. I mean, you see all these faces in front of you that, they're happy, they love their job, we all get along great, which in a lot of businesses, a lot of women cannot work that closely together and make it home at the end of the day with their head still on their shoulders. So honestly, I just think just proving it to them, showing them kind of like how the round table does it, just have women advocating for the job position and explaining, what a great example, they can give you, their experiences that they've had, the experiences that other people that they know have had. People like Andrea and Lauren that started from, the bottom and worked their way all the way to the top. Like, that's something that they chose. It's not just a job to them. It's their career. It's their life. And it's a position that we all really love to do.
Brittany, your turn on the hot seat. How do I find more Brittany's of the world? How do you walk in the door and replace Brittany to have somebody fix cars, fix them right, and have the same attitude you do?
Well, I would continue advocating, good benefits, good pay. You can, I mean, working flat rate has its downfalls, but it also is fantastic if you really know how to work on cars well, and you can make a ton of money doing it. You only have to go to school for a couple of years. You know, that's the type of thing that I would try to push. Like, you can make a lot of money and only have to go to school for a couple of years, or we send you to school and you work your way up. So that's fantastic. You know, I'd have to shoot some commercials, you know, put my face out there, say, hey, I own a dealership and I'm a woman, and make people feel comfortable to come in and apply and seek out the environment. So I think that would work.
Andrea, your turn. So it now says Walker Darnell Motors on the front. And I had to throw that in there because that's how you're on in LinkedIn, is Walker Darnell. So it now says that on the front of the building. How are you going to replace you in a management position? How are you going to get females in the door?
You know, I think it goes back to a lot what everybody else is saying as well. I mean, a lot of advertising, you know, us speaking right now, put the word out there. A lot of it doing what we're already doing. We're accommodating schedules. We work as a team. Family comes first. I feel like we're already practicing those things. So it's easy for us to get people to come in like, hey, you know, your kid's sick at home. Stay home with your kid. Figure it out. That comes first. I wouldn't be opposed to putting in a daycare someday. You never know. But but I think we're already doing a lot of those things that is very accommodating to the women and men here that have children.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm done with my questions. So the last thing that Kalamazoo should be known for is this year, we are now the sole owners of the Kalamazoo Downtown Christmas Parade.
Okay.
We have, they postponed it for COVID.
Yeah.
And the dealership group has bought the entire shooting match. So we're sponsoring it, and middle of November, that's coming up shortly. November, we'll be walking downtown, holding helium balloons and passing out candy to kids. So.
Well, that's awesome. What a great group and a great discussion you all had. It really struck me as you were talking, especially as you drove home that last question about you own the business, that those of us who have worked retail, Ted included, really saw it as an opportunity to build our own business. And I think that is kind of unique in the car business, that we really can kind of make it or make it not whatever we want it to be. Would you guys agree with that? Show of hands. Yeah. Okay. Hey, I appreciate everyone. Andrea, thank you so much. Cassandra, Lauren, and Brittany, and of course, Jeff Daniel, thank you for joining us here today. All right. Hey, folks, stay with us. There is more of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Pay It Forward coming up right after this.
Place Fish Market, you'll see lots of flying fish. But we saw more. Great customer service, teamwork, energy, and results. So how can you bring this kind of energy to your organization? The answers are in Fish, the most watched training video in the world. The Fish philosophy is a fresh, powerful training solution. It has 4 easy-to-use practices. They help you create an environment where people love to come to work.
One fish flying to Deborah. One fish flying. And so Fish really lights people's hearts on fire. It helps them understand, hey, it's up to me, and then it shows them a very simple, predictable pathway.
So we all need ways to get pumped up and get remotivated and refocused on what it means to really work together. Checking bags? How you doing, sir?
Nearly every industry uses the Fish philosophy to deliver amazing customer service.
How's it going?
Improve teamwork and trust.
The more we incorporate the Fish philosophy in what we do, the better job we do and the better our patients do.
It has absolutely transformed the climate of our school. Our discipline problems have gone down dramatically.
need the 15.
Businesses that I see use fish invariably end up the first choice, not just for the customers that they serve, but for people who want to work there. You build great environments where people want to come to work and where people say, that's the business that I want to do business with.
Contact us to learn how the fish philosophy will help you.
In our last show, we introduced our next guest as a force to be reckoned with, and he's done nothing to change our minds since then. Please welcome back John Fitzpatrick to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we have with us today John Fitzpatrick, the President and CEO of Force Marketing. John, welcome back to the event.
Thanks for having me, Ted. Good to be here.
Hey, first of all, I want to congratulate you. I saw something recently that you are one of Atlanta's top 40 under 40. So congratulations on that honor.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an incredible honor. Good group of people that have been acknowledged and recognized, and so I'm honored to be in their standing. Good. It's fun. Thank you for that.
You're making great strides in the industry, and I think what an important time right now because what a year this has been. What a roller coaster ride for dealers because we've seen highs and lows. And, right now dealers are challenged in terms of new vehicle inventory and also these used car values that are at an all-time high. And there's so much increased focus, John, right now on fixed operations and service and parts and body shop. So I want to share some of that and have you share some with us on that as well.
We'd love to.
I heard a little bit about your recent presentation in Las Vegas about the customer lifetime value. And I think that's such a great message because that really transcends the service and parts.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a big part of our thesis when we acquired GSM earlier this year. We knew that the fixed ops relationship that you have with your consumers is incredibly vital to this lifetime value. We know that, if you're in their service business, you're 7 times likely to earn their second vehicle. We also reminded the audience in Vegas about a stat that was released by Norwood University years ago, but still holds true. They did a study where they found that if you earned from 16 years old till death, if you earned all of the service or all of the business from that consumer in the auto category, the purchases of all the vehicles, the service, the parts, the warranty, accessory, all of it. It amounted to about $364,000 in revenue across the lifetime of a person. So if you think about the average home having, 2 cars or more in their garage, and you think about the household value in your hyper-local marketplace, and you think about these dealer groups becoming bigger and bigger in that they don't just have 1 or 5 brands. In many cases, you're seeing groups that have almost every brand to offer inside of their family of dealerships in almost every market in the country, or at least half the brands, which would give you every segment, right? They certainly can facilitate your needs on a truck, a van, SUV, car, sports car, whatever. Then this customer lifetime value mindset is incredibly and increasingly important. And so what we are sort of charged with as marketers is figuring out how to define that metric, how to benchmark against customer lifetime value. And how do you have a communication thread with the consumer that is fluid and is not separate from when you buy your car or when you trade your car in to when you service your vehicle to when that lease is due and you're ready for the next vehicle. It should be one fluid conversation, just like you and I are having right now across a period of time. And we know there are a lot of hurdles in that, right? We know that there's turnover at a dealership, that there's people that move, right? And there's all these different factors that go into, and they service their car closer maybe to where they work, and they buy their car closer to where they live. And these stats still are alive and well. So we know that there's challenges, but what we also know is we're heading into 2022, and data is the new oil, and technology is at our fingertips. So now is the time to lean in to our first party data availability and really challenge ourselves in auto to better connect, more personally connect with each and every customer with this lifetime value mindset. And what that will mean to the dealer group if we can achieve that. And there's so much opportunity, as you know, Ted. And so we had a great conversation. It was very interactive. We had participation from the crowd, and we look to further that conversation from Vegas and evangelize it as much as we can. A, because we had great feedback from it, but B, because we just deeply believe in how important it is.
Your organization, Force Marketing, which acquired GSM, I believe earlier this year. I mean, you're already pardon the expression, a force to be reckoned with in the industry, but now you've acquired this great name, and that's part of the Force Marketing brand, the GSM side. And the GSM had a great name going in as well, and now you're expanding it. Talk about what you just mentioned, the data is the new oil, because you really help dealers maximize that data.
Absolutely. We've built a customer data platform. So any marketer out there, anybody that has spent some time researching marketing in today's world, you're seeing that the customer data platform, or the need for it, is important. The CRMs do a good job. The dealer management systems do a good job of housing the data that you get from your customers or your third-party lead providers, and giving a place for your associates to see all the data in one place. But where there's a big opportunity we see is connecting that data set to the ability to communicate through marketing across an omni-channel way. So in other words, having an email marketing campaign and a direct marketing campaign and a digital marketing campaign all be a fluid, consistent campaign that is connected to each and every consumer and where they are in their journey, and personalized, right? The consumer today expects that we have all of the information on them. And so no more is it, oh, wow, that's creepy that you know everything about me and you put it in an email. Now they expect it. They expect the form to be pre-populated when they say, yeah, I want to do business, or I want to hear more. And they expect that you know and can offer them a good, strong, fair value for their trade-in. And so all of those data points are important to the experience side. And we know that customer experience will win the day. If the customer experience is easy and personalized, we have a stronger chance at winning them at our brand and keeping them at our brand. Look at brand loyalty rates. They're at an all-time low, and really across the board. And I think a lot of that has to do with the communication through marketing, where we have got an opportunity to step up. I mean, one of the things I talked about, Ted, in Vegas was some of the threats to auto, threats, right? You might hear often is Carvana and Tesla and what they have proven. And while they don't have massive share yet, what they have proven, and you'll see it in their ads, is, hey, we want to buy your vehicle. And right now, what's more important to a dealer with the shortages of new car inventory than being able to buy back that vehicle? We know it's a lot less expensive to buy a vehicle back from someone I sold that car to, which I have the first party data on, than it is to go to the auction and pay those fees to get to acquire vehicles. And so we spent some time in Vegas having that conversation and showcasing that, hey, Carvana's out there saying, hey, just put in a 6-digit license plate number, and in about 15 seconds, we're going to give you the strongest offer for that trade imaginable. And yet our local dealers, our franchise dealers, are having a tough time competing with that. And you're seeing CarMax just bought 180,000 vehicles in the last 6 weeks alone. So we know that if we can help our dealers facilitate used car inventory, certainly while new car inventory is low, if we can keep those service bays booked 2 weeks out or further, if we can help them personally communicate to their customers utilizing their first party data out of their DMS, out of their CRM, into our CDP, and then into the homes and hearts of their consumers, we will help them win and absolutely help them compete against the Carvanas and the Teslas of the world that have put a tremendous amount of money into the connectivity to the consumer online and made it easy. The dealers are not far behind on that, but we do believe that a customer data platform utilizing first-party data is their way to competition in the next year and beyond.
Let's talk about that customer lifetime value as an example. I'm a consumer, as are you, and I recently purchased a new vehicle. I went in to service my vehicle, and I had an airbag issue. My vehicle was 4 years old, and I was just out of warranty. And the dealership said, "Hey, can we appraise your vehicle?" And I thought I knew what it was worth, but it was worth $12,000 more than it was worth last year. So I said, "Gee, maybe this is a good time to get a new vehicle." So we ordered it. And lo and behold, chip shortage or not, I got it in 6 weeks. It was amazing. And I just took delivery of the new vehicle. And so that customer lifetime value, how will you, or how would you recommend the dealer communicate with me now? Because I'm fairly new with the vehicle, but I'm going to keep it for, I plan 3, 4, 5 years. So, how does that work out? How do those campaigns begin to tie it all together between sales and service and parts?
Well, first of all, you are a premium customer to that dealership. You serviced your vehicle there because that's what you got you there in the first place, right? Then you are open to the offer. By the way, they're doing a good job of connecting sales to service, right? And that's what good crises do, by the way. Never waste a good crisis. Sir Winston Churchill, right? This time is finally saying, you know what? This is one operation. These aren't two separate operations under one roof. And that's great to hear that they made you an offer on your trade. You said, "Oh, wow, making $12,000 more. Yes, I am willing to wait." By the way, for how long have we been conditioned to think that we had to stack, 60, 70-day supply of vehicles because the consumer's not willing to wait? When they're ready to buy a car, they want to buy a car. That is not necessarily the case. You just waited 6 weeks. You didn't even know you wanted a new car. So that dealership, first of all, has done a really, really good job. Now, to answer your question, have you made your first service appointment yet? Do they have you on the books out into the future for that first service appointment?
Not yet. Nope. No attempt yet.
Okay. Well, that's what they need to do. They need to remind you that we appreciate your business. We love that we had you to cut through the worry. We know how important your calendar is to you. Let's go ahead and set that. We know right now that based on how much you drive and based on the vehicle you now own, that on this date in the future or within this 30-day time frame in this month is the best time to bring your car back in for service and let our factory trained technicians take care of your vehicle, take care of your investment. Let's go ahead and schedule that now. You can always change it, but let's go ahead and have it on the books for us and for you. Would you be willing to do that if they did that for you?
That's music to the dealer's ears, because in most cases, John, as you know, dealerships are not doing it, and the dealer and the general manager, they want that to happen, and they need that to happen, and they need the tools to be able to make that to happen as well.
Yeah, and typically the consumer, because they have not experienced that many times, they don't have it scheduled, so they're more impulse. They're in that moment, in that future. They say, "Oh, you know what? I probably need to get my oil changed. Where's the closest place to do that? What's the quickest, cheapest, fastest? How can I get in? Can I get out?" And by that point, you've probably lost the opportunity to get that business. Yeah. And that's why you see 70% of the people that our franchise dealers sell cars to, 70% of them are going somewhere else to service their vehicle. So there's a massive opportunity. And again, it's not the same for everybody. I'm sure there are stores out there that have different metrics. So we're speaking more sort of by and large, but there's a massive opportunity. And what we've found, that stat that I share regularly is 7 times. You may hear other people say 5 times. 5 times is correct if you earn their service business, but you're 7 times more likely if you earn their first service appointment. That's why I asked you about, have they got that first one on the books? Because the chances are, if you schedule that first appointment and attend, you'll likely just go there for the history of the service of that vehicle.
That's right. That's right.
So it's so important to get that first one taken care of. And that's where we think, and that's that a good marketing provider that has technology to scale, that can have personal communications one-to-one instead of one-to-many, that can utilize your first-party data in a world of a very crumbling cookie, that will be the way that a dealer can leverage tech, leverage data at their disposal, and have better conversations with their clients.
And that first appointment it should be the easiest one to get because
Should be the
vehicle's
easiest
so
one to
brand
get.
new.
You're riding high. You're in a good spot. You're thinking far out. No big deal. By the way, I would overemphasize that. Hey, we can cancel this. At a moment's notice. So they don't feel like they're committing to something. Like, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone 18 months from now. Yeah, but 18 months from now. By the way, we're going to remind you that it's there. So no big deal. And we're not going to bother you in the meantime. And so what cadence, I'm seeing some testing on asking the consumer, at what cadence would you like to hear from us? And then by the way, a customer data platform can facilitate that for you so that you're not having different communication channels go out and frustrate the consumer. Like if they were to send you an email right now and said, hey, your car's never been worth more, trade it in right now. How sort of frustrated would you be?
Yeah, it's a little early to hear that.
Well, they would likely be doing it on the last car.
That's right. Okay.
Some other vendor came in and said, hey, let me
Sure.
download your data and let me send them these. But what you're doing in that, and what we forget in data is the new oil, that mindset, which I think most people agree with, we're forgetting that giving people access to that data is incredibly important. We cannot afford to have an email go out to you right now saying a trade that you just traded in, they want to buy back. You will frustrate that consumer. You'll turn them off. They'll unsubscribe. And now you've possibly lost a shot at $364,000.
And that happens because there's been historically a huge disconnect there. You're doing some things with streaming video right now that are amazing. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We really are. So we've had an industry-leading and award-winning. Brian Pash gave us a great award at 2020's NADA Innovator of the Year for our Drive technology. Our Drive technology is dynamic retail inventory video engagement. That's what it stands for. It allowed us to put a VIN-specific ad in a dynamic way with a dynamic offer specific to TED based on your search history in front of you across streaming media. So think Facebook, YouTube, Hulu, anywhere that you might stream media. We were able to connect with you through some household graphing technology that we've built out and put that vehicle and actually 5 other vehicles in front of you in that dynamic ad while you're watching a video about why that dealer group is great to do business with in your hyper-local market. And so we took that technology when we acquired GSM, and we said, how can we apply this to the service lane? And we came up with Service Drive. We didn't overthink the name here. Drive, now we have Service Drive. Service Drive is the same technology, Ted, but what that does is it goes after folks that are searching for F-150 tires, F-150 oil change. And we are saying, okay, let's first connect with that consumer, and then let's serve them a dynamic ad that's specific to service, specific to parts, across streaming media, with the same why buy here brand promise message that you might have from the dealership. But now we're getting very specific to the offer in parts and in service. And the connectivity to the audience on the stream is so very real. I mean, just look around your, look around your family room, your living room, see how you're interacting with your phone and your TV and maybe an iPad or a laptop at the same time. And so are your kids, and so are your friends and family that come over. So when we have the ability to say, we know who's watching what inside the household, and then use data, use technology to find out how to connect with you across streaming media, it's become very, very real. What we're finding, Ted, is that 20% of the audiences that we connect with are then showing up at a dealership. How do you do that? Well, we know the devices that are tied to that household graph. So as long as you bring your phone into the service department, we now made a connectivity that an ad was seen inside that house that had this phone. And then we said, well, this phone also showed up at the service drive.
Wow.
And we're calling that a dealership arrival.
And John, this is available right now.
This is available right now. So we've got hundreds of dealers, Ted, that are on this product and have been since the launch of it at last year's 2020 NADA. So now they've been running almost 2 years on the Drive product. And we just launched Service Drive about 2 months ago. And so we're already seeing that our curated audiences are incredibly valuable. And what we're also able to do through some data providers that we've partnered with is we're able to say, did this device ever show up at a Meineke or a National Tire Battery or a third-party service lane? And if it did, let's increase the frequency that they then see the ads, because we really want to earn that business back, because that customer is either lost or inactive. And so we're seeing some incredible data in and around through streaming media, taking Service Drive, putting a dynamic offer in place and reactivating a lost client, and how important that is now today, where now we need that trade-in, right? We need their service business because we don't have new car volume. So we've got our dealer partners are really excited about this. They're launching it, sort of every month as we continue on here. We've got, more and more stores jumping in. But, with our Pixel, with our location technology, we're tracking KPIs like not just in-store visits, which is sort of the holy grail, but we're also tracking web visits, service page visits, service scheduler engagement, and then of course those physical visits. So the attribution that we're able to provide a dealer group off of Service Drive and our Drive technology, we believe that's really the connective tissue for all of our brands. Is if we can utilize this at scale, we then are winning the mindset of, wow, you can use data across the customer lifetime.
Now I see it.
Value, right? And so we're using that as that connective tissue to inform the auto community of all that we can help them with.
Believe it or not, and the Fixed Ops Roundtable, this is our 14th event. This is the first time we've heard anything like this that's available in the market. And John, I got to tell you, I'm like you. I take my phone everywhere I go. Okay.
Yeah.
So once I've made that, instant contact, you can track me, and to be able to tell if I went to a mass merchandiser, let alone the Service Drive, now the dealership can see super ROI because they're aware of what's going on. This is very smart technology that I didn't realize was already available. And I don't think all of our audience knew, but wish it was.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time developing it. I do agree with you. We have first mover advantage on it. There's nothing quite like it in the space, but with any technology, that'll be short-lived, right? People will figure out other technology will come into the space. So for us, it's very important that we maintain first mover advantage on this tech that we've built and spent a lot of time and money investing in. But continue to prove that it is the connective tissue, as I talked about, to this customer lifetime value metric or mindset that is so important in the longevity of operating new car franchise dealerships in today's marketplace.
All right, if I want to be one of those first mover dealerships, I'm a Fixed Ops director, general manager. I want to get on board. John, how do I find out more about what GSM and Force Marketing has available for me?
I've given you all my information. Ping me. You can go to gsmarketing.com, which is GSM's website. You can go to forcemarketing.com, which is Force. Any of our family of brands, connect with any of them. WeDriveAuto.com is our mail, email, and text division. If you go to any of our family of brands, you'll get to the right people that can help connect you to this product. But I'll add something more, and I'll go off the cuff and possibly anger my head of sales. But for anybody watching this specifically, I'll give them their first month free. I'll take the Pepsi challenge. I'll prove that this technology is nothing like they've ever seen, and we'll call it the Ted Ings special. And we will show any dealer group that wants to turn this on and activate it. Now, give me 90 days, right? Give me a real shot at showcasing the efficacy of this product. But the first month we'll wipe clean. We'll say this is free on your tech fees, and pump some revenue dollars into the stream. Let me show you how we can connect with those shoppers in a very, very meaningful way. And I know because I see the data on the back end that for us there'll be a lifetime customer value in that for Force.
John's personal email and cell phone is in the ticker down below on the screen.
Sure is.
So if you want to reach out to John and take advantage of this special, those 30 days for free, let him earn your business and be among the first with this technology. John, thank you so much on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable community. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thanks for having me. Keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate and enjoy being on.
John Fitzpatrick from Force Marketing, GSM, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
When it comes to automotive marketing, understanding the customer journey is key to the success of any marketing strategy. With Force's family of brands, you can now rely on one partner to deliver the right message to the right consumer during every stage of their car shopping, buying, and service journey. From the time a consumer begins consideration on brand, price, and dealer location, to the moment they consider their purchase or financing options, down to the communication after the sale through service and parts support. Force Marketing's rich portfolio of marketing solutions meet every customer at every stage of their process. Let's go further into how we do it. It starts with finding the right audiences and learning when and how to communicate with them. Our marketing automation platform, Helix, empowers our team and clients to visualize and identify exactly who their consumers are, where they are located, and most importantly, when the right time is to deliver a message. Once identifying a dealer's audience, our Drive brand dynamic retail inventory video engagement uses data, technology, and marketing automation to deliver personalized, highly targeted audio and video campaigns through multiple channels, including social media and display, as well as streaming media, CTV, and OTT. As we track consumers along their journeys, we are also able to recognize when a shopper may become lost or change consideration. Through our WeDrive brand, we deploy strategic, highly targeting campaigns through direct mail and email, designed around taking those consumers from lost to captured through programs like Recapture. Once we capture the consumer and make them a customer, it's time to further support their journey through our GSM Fixed Ops marketing solutions. We help nurture customer relationships with retention programs that meet a dealership's service and parts goals. We are not just changing how to reach consumers through personalized messaging. We're changing the way consumers shop and then buy through timing and attention. We create shopping experiences that drive consumer actions at scale. We're experienced marketers with proven tech-enabled solutions aligned with one common promise. We execute marketing that drives your business forward. Let the power of Force's family of brands go to work for you. Force Marketing, WeDrive, Helix, Drive, GSM.
I'm so excited to be back at the Fixed Ops Roundtable and to encourage people to pay it forward by sending me lots and lots of donuts. Donuts, is there anything they can't do? Can I get some? What? No! Who changed the script? I meant to say, to help my friends at the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society by supporting our efforts to raise $100,000. Woohoo! Wow, $100,000? With that kind of money, we could be millionaires. Woohoo! And we could put an end to blood cancers. Boy, if I just had $100, I could put an end to my cravings for more pizza. Pizza.
My name is William Yank. I'm a 23-year-old, 3-time leukemia survivor. It was a very, very wild, anxious ride on whether I was even going to live. Leukemia Lymphoma Society was this unforeseen blessing for me because I wouldn't have been able to get CAR T-cell therapy. We are about 9 months post-transplant and feeling very healthy, strong, and I live.
To give or get help, visit LLS.org.
I'm excited to welcome our next guest, Michelle McLean, to host this next panel. It's the Automotive Social Revolution. Ted?
Last month on the Fixed Ops Roundtable, the weekly edition, our show that appears on Wednesday afternoons at 2 p.m. Eastern, we featured Michelle McLean, who is the marketing genius behind the Fixed Ops Roundtable and the themes that we have come to love and adore over the last 2.5 years. So the session went so well, I thought it was appropriate that we'd invite Michelle back for an encore. And this time she's leading an all-star panel. And that all-star panel today is going to have a theme about the automotive social revolution. Michelle McLean, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Welcome. Thank you guys, everyone, so much for being with us today. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks so much, Ted.
Hey, Michelle, I'll let you go ahead and introduce the panel, and I'll let you take it away.
Fantastic. Well, guys, like Ted said, my name is Michelle McLean. I'm the CEO of a company called Retention Masters, and I'm very fortunate to have such a great role with the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We do a lot of stuff together, and it's fantastic. But today, I am really excited that I get to bring some of my superhuman friends, clients, business partners to the forefront. Some of them you probably know from social media. Some of them you may not have had the opportunity to meet before. So first and foremost, we have Chris Martinez. Chris is the platform director for Jackie Cooper Imports. He also plays a very large role with the Auto Miner software, NoCode.io, and he's involved in so many more things. Just a remarkable human. Welcome, Chris Martinez.
Thank you for having me, Michelle.
So great to see your face today. And next up, we have Brian Levinson. I'm very, very proud. This is one of my newest partnerships. Brian is the founder and CEO of Sitech.io, the app that is going to revolutionize the automotive industry for service technicians. Guys, if you're watching this today, please reach out to me. Your dealership 1000% needs a demo of this product. If you are a service director or a general manager, DP, what have you, fantastic to have you with me today, Brian. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. And what a special arena to come together and support Ted and all those that are facing the trials and tribulations of leukemia and lymphoma. Just really honored to be here today with the group. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. Such a great cause, guys. We are accepting donations for Light the Night, and we are raising money for leukemia. Leukemia is it's such a dear thing to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and there will be details to come for how you can participate in that and donate. So we're super excited to be able to support this cause today. Up next, my very dear friend, Adam Marburger, CEO and founder of Ascent Dealer Services. Guys, there is no better F&I trainer in the world. And I don't say this because I'm biased. I love Adam dearly. They have an amazing lineup of products. They will make your dealership more money and help you leave a legacy because they are retail. Welcome, Adam Marburger. So glad to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored just to be with this group of superhumans. I appreciate that very much.
I'm so glad that my superhuman verbiage has caught on with the world. It's just, it makes things better. So, and last but certainly not least, my very dear friend, founder of the SCP agency, Epic BDC, and a fellow Women in Automotive board member that I am so proud to call my dear friend, Robin Wilson. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. I'm just like everybody else. I'm honored to be in this company and be able to contribute my voice to anything that may help the dealerships move forward and realize their full potential. I'm all on board.
Absolutely. And, I think we're kind of all in that space. And today's topic, of course, is the social media revolution in automotive. And guys, if we look back, even let's say a decade ago, right? The days of where many of us either weren't even involved in social media. Maybe we had AOL Instant Messenger or perhaps a MySpace account. Things have changed so much in the automotive industry specifically. And, I want to kind of just really quickly do a round robin because I want to kind of gauge where everyone is at just to kind of prove my point here. We've all had to evolve, and dealerships especially have had to evolve as far as, social media and technology. And even as we move forward now into a lot of these AI spaces, of course, we just got the announcement last week that Facebook is becoming the metaverse, Ready Player One, call it whatever you want. But I really think that even going forward into the next, months and years, we are going to see a drastic change in how dealerships advertise on social media, how they use social media platforms, and how they embrace this new technology. So just kind of want to do a quick round robin. Chris, tell me about your very first social media experience. What kind of a platform was it? And when did you realize that it was going to be an automotive goldmine?
I've been like jumping into almost everything that I see. I'm like one of those people that looks at and say, hey, that's kind of neat. Let me try it out. But social media, Facebook specifically, we started using that 2011. We started spending a bunch of money advertising in automotive. We spent so much money advertising that Facebook invited us, because Facebook is they have their headquarters in Austin. They invited us to go talk to them because they had just started an automotive division for Facebook. They had 3 people. They invited us to go talk to them. We sat down. They said, why are you guys spending so much money? What are you guys doing? And that was kind of like our secret weapon for a long time. And one of the things that I felt, when we were advertising, we were spending quite a bit of money, and that helped us get to the numbers we got to at the Toyota store I was helping run at in Austin. And the story goes, we took that store up to 1,000 cars a month. But I felt like Facebook was our secret weapon. And 2011, it's kind of neat now. Looking back, it's only 3 people in the Facebook automotive division at the time. Now there's like 400 people in that division. So it's kind of neat where it's gone.
Absolutely. What about you, Brian? You have a little bit different of a background. You're kind of at the helm of Silicon Valley and technology and AI, and you've really just kind of entered into the automotive space. But, when did you realize that social media was going to be like a huge deal?
Well, it's interesting. There were some companies actually before Facebook. One was called MySpace. I don't know if everyone remembers MySpace. And there were others that sprouted out. But really what was fairly insane was when Mark started Facebook. I think like in the early days, they were getting like 1 million new users a day. It was something incredible. I don't know the exact number, but it became a buzz throughout Silicon Valley very quickly. And the type of growth, I think they're over 2 billion now. The type of growth they've experienced, we just knew that it was going to change everything for all of us. And what a wonderful way to actually connect and see what other people's lives are like and connect with old friends. And not only in the business sense, but just in that sense of, my parents really didn't know who their friends were from high school and what their lives turned out to be and what type, where they ended up and what their families looked like and all of those different things. So it really kind of revolutionized the context of connectivity and sharing life events with one another.
Yeah, I remember the days of Facebook. Like, I never really got on the bandwagon to initially begin with. You still had to have a college email address when I joined Facebook. So it's crazy to see just how much it's evolved. Adam, what about you? What was your first experience with social media and automotive?
So mine also was with MySpace. And before I actually transitioned into automotive with it, I actually had some ridiculous success building a couple of companies. I built a travel agency online and then a mixed martial arts promotion. I was a fight promoter. And so I was selling out arenas using MySpace. Light bulb went off in my head. A couple of the younger kids, I would say this time, they were a lot younger than I was at my dealership, were using Facebook. And so they introduced me to Facebook. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. So I get engaged and involved in Facebook, started using it at my dealership on a very consistent basis. And I started selling car as a finance manager. I've been a finance manager pretty much my whole career, but I'd sell 20 cars a month using Facebook. So I had a nice steady stream of people coming in, but it started with MySpace into Facebook, and it's a rocket ship now. I think we all know that.
100%. What about you, Robin? You came into automotive a little bit later too, but your agency has taken off. Social media is literally your day-to-day operation. What was your very first experience with social media, either personally and then taking it into the automotive space?
So I have 5 kids. So you kind of just have to play defense at that point. Where are they? I have to be there too. I have to know what the crap they're saying online. And so MySpace was first, and then transitioned to Facebook personally, just to keep up with them and make sure they weren't blocking me on a daily basis. There was a rule that they weren't allowed to block me on social media or they had to move out. and that, those 12-year-olds aren't fond of moving out. So, and then we transitioned. It's kind of a weird transition. We transitioned to doing social media for our church, and just to keep everybody up to date, what's going on, this event's happening here, promote, the church and people to come and be part of the fall festival or whatever. And then in 2013, we took those same skills to small business owners who couldn't afford websites, couldn't afford that promotion side of it. And then in 2014, a dealership had actually reached out and we were like, okay, yeah, we pivoted from small business to automotive in 2014. And then unlike you guys who have been raised in the automotive industry or in the tech industry, I had to learn automotive to understand how I could use this tool for the automotive industry. And that has been, well, it still is just an ongoing daily lesson. What is the pivot this week? Okay, how do we use social media to fix the pivot that happened this week, this year, this month?
No, I totally agree with you. And, it seems like at least here in the last few months, apps are popping up every single day. Now we have Clubhouse, of course. I'm very honored. Frank Lopes deemed me the queen of such a platform. But, it's just crazy because literally every day we see some new application that's emerging. A lot of dealers are doing things on Twitter. Twitter is really not where my target audience is. But for dealerships, I think that it's incredibly important that an auto dealer is omnipresent on social media because you are appealing to so many different demographics. A lot of your people might be, if you're selling to business owners and such, of course, and doing some B2B or B2C stuff, that your audience might be on LinkedIn, right? Or Facebook. But if you're wanting to appeal to that millennial, zennial demographic, you need to be on platforms like Instagram, or you need to be doing things on Clubhouse or Twitter. I think that's really important. Now, Chris, I want to kind of take this to you because you are in the dealership every single day. You sit at the head of a dealership. What do you see as far as the dealerships? We have this saying in the automotive industry, we've always done it that way, right? We've always done it this way. It seems to be a common thing, especially when we as vendors approach dealerships. No, we're good. We've always done it this way. Do you think that dealerships that are not embracing social media and the technology as it's evolved, are they doing a disservice not only to their clients, but to their employees? And for those dealerships who are not embracing social media at the present time, what do you think that we could do to get them on that bandwagon?
It's there's still so much opportunity in social media and it's not so much that they have to be on there. I mean, look, if you want the cheapest way to get to your consumer, then you need to be on social media because you can spend a bunch of money, TV, billboards. I still spend money in both those areas, but the majority of my spend is in digital products. So if you want to get that reach and frequency like you would never even imagine you could get doing it on TV or billboards or any type of traditional mail or traditional media, you're just not going to get the ROI that you can get on social media digital products. So if there's, think about it. We're 2021 going into 2022. I've been doing this since 2011, and there's still people that aren't doing it. It's like mind blowing, right?
No, I agree with you. I started in the auto industry right after my 18th birthday. This is now year 22 for me in the auto industry. And I remember still the days where everything was on an up card from sales. We didn't even know what a CRM was not even 15 years ago, or in your fixed ops and service departments, everything for a customer was done through a file of fax, right? So I want to take this next question to Adam, because Adam, you really do a lot of stuff on the fixed up side of things. Not only do you do the training and stuff for F&I, but you guys have a remarkable lineup of products for dealers that are in that fixed op space. The dealers that are doing the best business in terms of, after sales or retargeting for penetration, capturing maybe back end products that were lost, like warranty gap, things like that. How do you see that the dealerships that are succeeding the best are utilizing social media in order to recapture some of that business, whether it's in sales or service?
So I'll say from a sales standpoint, we're getting much better in the automotive industry as far as being online. And, we have certain processes in place when we actually sell a car and getting the consumer to engage with us. Let's take a picture with them. Let's tag each other. Let's friend up. We can get their audience. From the fixed ops side of things, I'll tell you, it's not the majority. Very few are actually promoting some of their products online. So some of my stores, what we'll do, especially if there's like oil change specials or there's certain promotions, we'll put stuff online and we'll share that information. But as a whole, I don't see a lot of dealers doing a whole lot of that, especially on the back of the house. We're getting much better in the front. I think we're all learning, we're evolving, we're trying to figure it out on the front. But in the back, we're not doing so well. That's my opinion. What I'm seeing in my stores is we're not really promoting a lot of our products. Now, Ted Ings used to, well, I'm sure he still does, used to put a lot of the tip of the day out there where they would talk about what is a vehicle service contract, what is gap insurance. So we do have some success sharing some information online about specific products. And then we'll also put out there little calls to action. If you bought a car from us recently and you chose at the time not to protect yourself, if you're looking to protect yourself, especially in the vulnerable market that we're in today, reach out to us. We'll get you taken care of. So we're getting it done in sales. We're starting to learn in service and parts. We're starting to kind of maybe enter that. We're not doing enough, but we're starting at least.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a tremendous opportunity on the fixed ops side of things for dealerships to, even offer things for the vehicle after it's been purchased, right? Whether it's aftermarket parts or, upgrades, things like that. I think there's really an area of opportunity that's being missed, right? And speaking of social media, right, to be able to sell things and do things, Robin, you're obviously at the head of the SCP agency. Your job specifically, what you guys do is you convert clients from social media into the showroom. I know you do some stuff with service as well, but one thing that we've really noticed here, in the last couple of months, like the legislation that was passed down where dealers are now no longer going to be able to rely on things like third-party cookies, right, to be able to sell. They're going to have to be able to tap in to their own data in order to really effectively be able to market the clients. And Chris, of course, you're with the Auto Miner. That's what you guys do as well. But Robin, I know you personally have seen a really tremendous growth in terms of taking clients from social media versus the conventional methods of bringing them into showroom or service by a phone call or, God forbid, the dealer website that sends us all over the place. What kind of conversion rates have you seen as far as social media leads and clients for sales or service versus, a phone call or them sending an email or going through the dealer's website first?
Well, there's a couple of factors that play into that. And one of them is, what does their organic look like, right? So if you have a dealership that their organic is dead and they're trying to just hook people in with a Facebook ad, their results are a lot different, right? One of the things that Adam is speaking about is organically promoting on their social media what's going on the back end, like educating their customers over warranty and gap and being that provider that is their trusted advisor in the automotive industry. So if their organic is good, their paid is going to be even better. So they can target that. I'm going to tell you that since and Chris can attest to this too, since people started doing Facebook ads, the pivot has happened about every 90 days to the point where people who do Facebook marketing don't even get fazed by what is next coming down the pipeline because we figure it out. We figure it out pretty quickly. And the cool thing about that is it's a level playing field, right? So it's not like that law just applied to me. It applies at Chris's dealership, at every dealership that's out there. They've all got to learn to pivot at the same time. So to me, none of that means anything to me, honest to God. We always find a way to get into our customers' timeline, which is the important part. And then what happens there is, are you smart enough to have the conversations with them to convert those customers to a showroom visit? And that's probably where the gold lies that we love so much is can we have a conversation? Because people forget that social media starts with the word social. And then are you having a conversation with them like your website chat? Because that's a different conversation than what happens on social media. So being able to reach people where they are, which is on Facebook, let's just use that example. And I know you're reaching out right now. You're experimenting with your toe in the water, Michelle, on TikTok. I'm following along, watching you. But being that conversation piece, being the conversation to find out what is going to get them to come into the dealership. What are they worried, scared about, concerned about? Are they worried that they're upside down in their trade? Having those conversations is the gold on the other side of it. The marketing piece, I mean, I can tell you, Chris is not worried about it. I'm not worried about whatever regulations and laws come down, because they happen to everybody, and we all pivot at the same time and head in another direction and still use it as a tool. COVID taught us a lot of lessons, and one of them was all of those dealers that were sitting there going 100,000 on TV, 100,000 on radio, 5,000 on Facebook. You should have seen the budgets change. They changed like that. Oh, holy crap, stop that. Nobody's in their car, stop that. All we hear is death rates on TV. How much money can I put in social and still get their attention? Because that's, they're always paying attention. So I think we saw a pivot in 2020 to people actually who were like playing in the social media realm for their dealerships to going, oh my gosh, this might be a decent lead source. Let's take it serious. I think the one thing that's a problem with most, I don't want to say legacy dealers, but like the ones like you said that have always done it this way, so we're always doing it this way, is that if they're not consuming social media, they don't understand that other people are too. And just because, I don't ride a motorcycle doesn't mean that I don't understand all of the marketing behind a motorcycle. So they have to be able to embrace a technology, even if they don't use it, to know that. How many billions did you say, Brian, are on there right now? 2 billion users or whatever it was, 3 billion. I mean, that's not a market to be ignored.
No, you're 100% correct. And I think moving forward in terms of the future of social media, I think we're going to see a lot more of an AI presence as well, which is somewhere that dealers are going to really have to start embracing. And I would love to bring Brian into this conversation because, like I said, Brian has revolutionized an AI app for technicians, for the fixed ops industry. Brian, in terms of looking at marketplaces like Amazon or Apple, and now, of course, the Meta, right? I think that's going to affect the auto industry in so many ways as a whole. Do you think that we're going to be glued to headsets and we're going to be buying virtual cars and running virtual service departments and everything is going to be AI? Brian, you have a whole different take on this because you're in Silicon Valley and you're really at the head of what technology is. And I think the dealers that are focused on the future state of whether it's AI, tech, social media, I really think those are going to be the dealers that we're going to be seeing 10 years down the road are still in business, whereas a lot of the smaller stores may not be around because they're not going to embrace those new things. So I would love for you to take 3 to 5 minutes and just kind of talk a little bit about AI and tech and where you see the future of automotive with that.
Oh, God, I would love to talk about this too. Michelle, I want to start off by saying that I think we should start off with Meta first. I know that all of us have been reading about Facebook and Meta. It's been blasted across the channels. And I know some of us can't wait to throw on our VR goggles and drive up, jump into a Batmobile and drive up Mount Everest. I'm going to be first in line to do that. Last week, my son, not last week, actually a few months ago, my son logged on to Fortnite and went to an Ariana Grande concert. This is how old school I am. I can't even pronounce Ariana's name. And he was there dancing the night away in his Deadpool character. God knows with who. So I think we're going to continuously see this trend. And from a dealership perspective and from a community perspective, I think the type of questions that we should be asking ourselves is, what are our brands going to look like in a virtual reality setting? How are we going to be able to fuse a real world car purchase with that of a virtual car purchase? And what's that going to feel like to the end user? And what are they going to experience? What are the sounds going to be? What are the visuals going to be? What is that experience going to be? And I think the big question is not when it's going to happen, but when we should start to invest those resources. So for me, there's technologies that exist today that the dealerships could start to leverage that might be a little bit more ready for prime time than Meta. For example, there's 2 AI companies that I would love to talk about really quickly. One is called AI-Identified. AI-Identified is a relationship intelligence platform. This technology can truly activate your dealership CRM in ways never before possible. What they basically do is they combine real life events that are happening with your customers, with your consumers. These events may be a promotion at work, a company that goes public that they work for, an individual consumer purchases purchases a new home. Any real positive wealth event signal around that individual consumer, their artificial intelligence surfaces those signals and then attaches that to that individual, and then extends and augments your CRM in ways never before done. So these are the type of technologies that I think are going to really positively affect the dealership and the type of opportunities with AI specific for that dealership. So I talked a little bit about AI identified, and then on the backside, I would love to talk a little bit about SciTech as well, our company. SciTech is a mobile app. It's sold in the App Store. Its sole design right now is really for a smartphone. We believe smartphones are going to become very valuable and are already very valuable devices for technicians, especially with AI mobile power applications. As has always been the case, a mobile workforce is inherent within the dealerships. Technicians are walking about all day long. And I think as new technologies are coming out, it's really important that we match this behavior and this physical nature of technicians and start to build software that enables them in their physical day-to-day tasks. So what SciTech does is we leverage artificial intelligence and we leverage iOS and Android platforms, and we kind of smash those all together. And then we enable technicians, in essence, to look up information, search information through their smartphones without literally leaving the car or without setting their tools down. So in our early introduction in shops, we're proving great value in quick service, fast lanes. We're seeing great value in the used car sections of the dealership. A lot of these dealerships now are transitioning to incorporating mobile technicians as part of their operations. A lot of dealerships are also beginning training. They're dragging people off the street. They're creating their own training programs. They're infusing various aspects of ASE and other type of training educational programs to improve that staff. And they're leveraging SciTech as a training aid as those new technicians are getting into the quick lanes is where they usually start. So I think Meta is going to be huge. I think virtual dealerships are going to be huge. But AI identified and SciTech are two technologies that are ready today that dealerships can benefit from right now.
I love it. We've got a couple of minutes left, guys. So I want to just go around really quickly. I want to ask each of you, if you could pick one platform and one platform only where dealers should be targeting and focusing the most of their ad spend, and I'm fairly certain I can say there's probably there's a unanimity with this, but I'd like each one of you just to go around. Chris, best platform for auto dealers, especially on the fixed op side of things, where do they need to be putting their money?
I think there's a lot to unpack in just that statement you said. I really think that it's all regional. It's depending on your market, obviously. I think, when you think about all of the things that even Adam spoke about and Robin, even Brian, I think if they're not trying to expand their service departments today, they need to really have a strategy behind that today, because right now you can across the country, one of the companies I'm involved in, we look at a lot of service facilities and most of them can't handle more business today. If you try to drive any more traffic to any service department, they're raising their hand and saying, I can't do it. I'm tapping out. They're saying, hey, that's too much business. Most people in the industry today are scheduling service 2-3 weeks out, and they're not being able to service all of their customers in a timely manner right now, because the pandemic has shown that there's a low shortage of inventory, right? So no one has inventory really, and so people are hanging on to their cars. So more people are servicing them. And so that's why right now you'll see that there's not a lot of dealers that know how to really market to more customers, because they can't handle their current customers or their influx of the amount of customers that are coming in. But if they're not focused on trying to grow their service department today and learning how to actually maximize and increase their capacity, 2022, 2023, actually probably 2024, IHS Markit just came out with an article just recently on Automotive News saying that by 2024, there's going to be a lot of production of vehicles. So, what's going to end up happening? People are going to start turning their cars more. They need to start shoring up their business today.
Gotcha. Well, guys, we are at time. It's so hard because I know all of us, we could sit and talk about this topic for hours upon hours. I just want to say thank you guys all so much for showing up today. I think we're at least able to answer the age-old question, did video kill the radio star? We see that social media is here to stay. So with that, I thank Ted and Jean and so many of you guys for just joining us today. I'm going to turn it back over to Ted to wrap us out.
Michelle, Adam, and Robin and Chris, a little while back when Brian Levinson was on the Fixed Ops Roundtable with Les Silver and presented some of the, actually he gave us a demo of the SciTech product. Technicians and fixed ops directors' eyes were glued, Brian, to the screen because they saw technology where, the greatest, most profitable product that we sell in a dealership is the labor. Those labor hours are extremely profitable. And there's a lot of wasted time, Michelle, in a dealership where the technician walks back and forth to the parts department or Brian has to go to their computer and look something up. And you've put everything at their fingertips with a voice-enabled on the smartphone, which everybody's got in their hand. You've made it very easy for technicians. So I think that's a game changer. And Chris, to your point, where service departments may be at capacity today. What a nice problem to have, right, Adam? We're at capacity. We can't sell anymore. It really makes the dealership, Robin, more efficient, on time. So Brian, hats off to you. Congratulations on SciTech. Brian, I know we're going to see you coming up in March at the next Fixed Ops Roundtable, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about it.
Ted, so honored to be here, and I agree with you. And just really quickly, I think what's really going to be very important is not only speed and accuracy within the shops, and leveraging mobile devices to do that, but training. As new vehicles are coming online, as electric vehicles are coming online, as new different types of processes are being instituted, new types of parts, new types of vehicle models, all of these things, how are we going to train these folks? And how are we going to get them up to speed? And I think AI and mobile is going to play a huge role in that.
That's right. And EV is coming, everybody. So we got to get prepared, not just the front of the house, but the back of the house as well. Robin Wilson, thank you so much. Very honored to have you back at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Congratulations on the success that you're having. Adam, it's been a long time in coming that you and I finally get together. And I love all the stuff that you put out there on social and the success that you tout of your dealers. So again, congratulations to you as well, my friend. Job well done. And of course, Chris Martinez, Chris, I didn't realize you go back to those early days when Facebook and automotive retail just got together, and now you helped, make that and solidify that. So, Chris, great job that you're doing there at Jackie Cooper, and also on your work with Aaron Sheeks at AutoMiner too. So congratulations to you, Chris, and thank you all for being here. And Michelle, I don't know what else to say. So
here's to the next event that we'll start planning in 2.5 seconds. So.
We keep raising the bar. Michelle McLean raises the bar for everyone in the industry. Everyone, if you have any branding needs for your dealership or organization, Michelle, how would someone get a hold of you?
So if you're specifically looking for your dealership, you can visit us at theretentionmasters.com. We actually give a free audit to dealers to kind of gauge where they're at with client retention so that we can effectively help you to get more clients and retain the ones that you currently have. If you have just specific branding needs or you're looking for design needs, you can also visit me at michellemclean.com. And of course, I'm omnipresent on social, so you can reach out to me there.
She is truly omnipresent. Everybody, the Automotive Social Revolution panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable Dan Drews, who's the Director of Fixed Operations at Auto Remote Direct. Dan, welcome back to the event.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks for having us. We're excited to be back.
Dan, you have been with us literally since the beginning. I remember when we were out in Los Angeles and we had that crew of about 100 people out in Los Angeles, and we thought that was a really big event, and we had no idea how things would explode. So thank you very much for your support. And thank you to ARD for all that you're doing for the industry.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is just an amazing organization. It was when it was small, and now it's gigantic. So congrats on that.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the technology that's in vehicles today, because what I see happening is that every year we're getting more and more complex, which is great for the driver and the owner. It feels like the automobile, the vehicle, is becoming sort of like the iPhone in that it's got more and more features. And when it comes to keys, obviously not all dealerships are losing keys or selling used cars at the same rate. At what point does it make sense to start having that key solution for themselves at the dealership?
These days, especially with the used car prices being 30 to 40% higher than they were 2 years ago, I would say anywhere between 10 or more keys. So if you're using an outside vendor for 10 or more keys, it does make sense, because we find that our dealership clients are paying around $200 on average per key added key fob, sometimes more. And at 20 keys per month, that comes out to roughly $4,000 in total key costs. And our program saves you 50% or more. So $2,000 of that savings could be extra added gross profit, more profit for the fixed ops department. And the program we offer to our clients costs around $5,200 to get up and running. So that includes the programmer and the key cutter. So it would nearly pay for itself in the first month, but you're in the black the third month. So the return of investment is very fast.
And Dan, having worked in dealership and working in dealerships and consulting for them, 10 keys is nothing these days.
No, absolutely not. Not when you're talking about I think our statistics say 70% of the vehicles are only coming from the auctions or from a rental car company or trade-in with one key fob. So if you're selling 100 cars a month, you're talking anywhere between 50 to 70 keys per month, depending upon the size and volume of your dealership.
And in the past, a solution like Auto Remote Direct would have cost the dealership many times what this would be deep into the thousands of dollars. And you've really gotten that price point down.
We have, and more importantly, it's the compatibility we've raised. It does do 95% of the vehicles on the road, and really the ease of use. Where some of these machines, it took a Harvard law degree to navigate them.
Now, are there any vehicles that you can't support or don't support?
Yes, right now it's mostly the European stuff, such as BMW, Mercedes, Porsche. They've got more of what's called a closed system, and there's a higher rate of failure on this stuff, and it's more expensive when that does happen. So we try to take that out of the dealership's hands.
Okay, right now we're at the end of November. Thanksgiving's coming up. Why would a dealership take on this program now?
It helps maximize your margins on these vehicles, especially with these used car prices being as high as they are. So when you're paying on average $200 for an extra key fob or two, that adds up. So if you can get that down to $65 to $75, it's going to help out tremendously. It also reduces your dependence on the outside vendors, reducing the number of vendors entering your dealership day in and day out, which provides more protection to your employees and your customers, with this COVID-19 virus going on. And if things are slow for your dealer, what better time to implement and train when you have time?
And on the new car side, there are a lot of manufacturers, Dan, that are sending cars, what few cars they're sending to dealers today with one key, just one, not two. So can you help those dealers as well?
We can. So, it's not like we saw this coming, but we were already working on our house brand solutions. So we do offer, new condition OEM. We offer a lot of refurbished OEM and our house brand, which works and programs just the same as an OEM key. So this has helped the dealerships that have run into these issues where maybe, some of their Jeeps are coming in with only one key. Factories can't provide this kind of stuff. We can. So we've helped them bear the brunt of those issues with the chip shortage.
So Auto Remote Direct can really help insulate the dealer from these unexpected and unanticipated costs of keys, which could run easily, Dan, into the thousands of dollars each month, where you bring the solution in-house and you also provide the support for the staff so that the dealership can do it themselves. We do. So we actually train them via our studio here in Chicago. And then we also support, because that's the most important portion. So when they do spend the money with us, it's not like we're just dropping off this equipment via UPS and saying, hey guys, have at it. Where in the past there wasn't a lot of training as far as key cutting. So we've simplified the key cutting. We want them to duplicate as easy and as fast as possible and as economically feasible, with these machines. And provide the right support. So we do have an amazing tech support team that's live. That is Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5 Central Time, and it's award winning. So they're always there to help and guide the folks through this. The support is so critical, and I think that this key issue, or the solution that you provide the dealerships, has never been more timely than today. There's a dealership, Toyota of Richardson. I'm familiar with that dealership because I've spent time at that store some time back. You've made a huge impact at that dealership. Tell us a little bit about that. Well, we have. They were able to capture another $60,000 in gross profit with these keys. So it was how much liability? 60,000. 60,000. Wow. Yeah. So it was a huge liability in the past, and you had all these key vendors coming in and out and making all this money hand over fist with this stuff. We were able to help them, organize this and then offer 2 keys and 2 remotes on every single one of their vehicles, regardless if it was a Toyota CPO. So on an average dealership might be half the size of Toyota Richardson. So might be typically half the impact. We could save these dealerships 50% off these key vendor costs. And then the effectiveness of the program depends obviously on how organized and how it's implemented. So we've got dealerships that take it on and really make it hum. And then those are the ones that, go to the training and utilize our tech support on a daily, weekly basis. And they start offering keys in their service department too, right in the service lane. So if you're a Toyota or a Lexus dealership, now you can offer, Ford and GM and Mopar, Mazda, regardless of your ticket, and offering these through your service drive. Or if you're, another dealership such as Ed Roberts, they have their mobile technicians out there and they've been able to offer that to their customers too in their driveways. It's just another moneymaker for these dealers.
I'm the parts operations director here at Toyota Richardson. I've been in the business for 25 plus years. We sell currently $2 million a month in OE Toyota parts. We have a high volume used car department here at Toyota Richardson. And 13 months ago, when I arrived at the dealership, the used car department was using a vendor that would come out twice a week to cut keys for their used cars, because our commitment to our customers is to have 2 keys with every used car sold. And our old solution was having a locksmith come out, which really wasn't a good solution in my book. When I got here, I didn't see the benefit of that. We were waiting around and having to bring customers back, which becomes a CSI issue for the dealership. And in this day and age, CSI is everything. So being able to have the smart box, the Condor key cutter, and having keys in inventory end up just empowering us to be able to service a customer the whole time we're open. So working with Auto Remote Direct, I was able to set up a key program, allow the parts department to sell the keys, and allow our used car technicians to actually program those keys to the vehicle and keep all that revenue in the dealership. We're open 72 hours a week. We cut keys and program them all 72 hours. We have technicians and parts staff here. And that's definitely a better solution for us than, twice a week, a locksmith coming out. We're able to facilitate the purchase of all our keys for all makes, all models, not just Toyotas, which is a big benefit for us. We have the smart box, which allows us to program these keys to the vehicle, which the technicians, we have 7 used car technicians here at Toyota Richardson. They love it. It's so easy. Basically, it's a couple of clicks to get the process started. and it just for all makes, all models. We didn't have a key machine here, so we were having to use a locksmith to cut some of our keys, and even going to other dealerships to cut high security side mill keys. So we ended up purchasing the Condor machine, and we've had a lot of success with that machine. It's super easy to use. My guys love it. Allows us to put the key SKU code from Auto Remote Direct right into the Condor, and that automatically knows which head to use and cuts the key instantly. Fixed a pain point we had at the dealership in cutting a second key for a customer. All my counter guys, they all use the app to look up keys for non-Toyota vehicles. It's just been a super easy process for the guys. In my 25 plus years, Auto Remote Direct has probably been one of the seamless, easiest programs to launch, and probably one of my most successful. We were able to generate in-house $60,000 a month in revenue. That's between parts and labor. You know, when it comes to used cars, it's all about cost of reconditioning these used cars. And the price of these keys are priced right. And this key program was a huge boost to us in 2019 for all departments.
Come back to that mobile service in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about the efficiency that you create for dealerships, because it's not efficient if you have to rely on an outside vendor to come in every time that you need a key. And like you said, there's different makes and models, and a lot of new car dealers, Dan, right now, new car dealers are really used car dealers because that's what they have to sell right now. So you're really making that dealer more efficient and more productive as well. So there's a dollar cost to that time element.
Oh, for sure. And they're not having to wait for these keys. So, you know, even if they have 10 cars come in, you know, from the auction somewhere, they can order the keys right then and there, use their own PO numbers, use their stock numbers with our website system. And it's easy and seamless.
My local dealer just got into the mobile, you know, speaking of Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine, where I know that you serve them as well. My local dealer just got in to the mobile business with 2 vans. And of course, you're starting to see this now. It's growing and growing. How can you help that mobile business?
So we just implemented the same way we would in a regular parts and service department. The tools are very, very mobile friendly, where our key cutter is about yay big and can fit in the corner of a van. And our programmer, the smart box, goes into a regular case and can go under a seat. So it's real easy to help implement these guys. And the training is the same too, as it would be for the in-house guys at the actual dealership roof. So it's a very mobile friendly product. Now the customer, if somebody's going to do an oil change or maybe a brake job in somebody's driveway, they've got another question they can ask for something that they can make $100 more in gross profit on for a 5 to 10 minute time window.
Okay, and what's the price point again?
So on average, our key fobs are around $65. So then that's on average. You know, some are 40, some are around 100. But what we do guarantee is that we will save you 50% or more. By using our program as opposed to those mobile key vendors.
Okay, come back to the support, because we talked about that a little bit. That's what really differentiates Auto Remote Direct, is the amazing support that you give. If my people at my dealership are struggling with a key, tell us again what kind of support is there.
So it's live tech support. So if one of the technicians or even one of the parts guys that goes out to the car to program it, it's live. So they can call our main line. We put them right into our live tech support staff, and they walk them through it. And there's no questions asked. So we're never going to stick anybody with any kind of inventory that didn't work or they weren't happy with. So we have a very efficient RMA system. So if we needed to get another key fob out that day, we can do that.
I'm thinking of going to the parts department and going to the parts counter, and I know how daunting it can be to get that key cut. Okay, whether it's for the used car department, new car, or whether it's in service and so on. Tell us again, how does the machine that Auto Remote Direct make that key cutting easier and more efficient?
I use the same example as, in 1999 when I was working at a Volkswagen dealer as a green pea parts guy. Cutting these laser cuts it was an absolute nightmare, and there was no training, and it wasn't necessarily anybody's fault. So we took the Condor Mini Plus, and we made it very efficient and very easy to use, where it's just a 3-step process to duplicate a key. Press one button and you enter our SKU that's on the key fob. Tells you where to line it up, and away you go. It's extremely simple, and the miscuts are next to zero.
Okay, that's very, very important. In the past, we talked about your used fob program. Tell us a little bit more about how that works.
So we call it our orphan key program, and most dealerships have that box in the parts department or under the used car manager's desk there, and really these days there's no shortage of somebody coming into the dealership to ask to buy that. But we provide a very safe and very cost-effective program to send these in for either store credit or we can refurbish them, and a lot of times the dealerships can reuse them and save even more money. Or send a check out, however they'd like to do it. But we don't want to rely on our people, not always doing the right thing and maybe sending some key fobs where the dealership could save money and sell it on the side where we send you a shipping label. It comes into our facility under camera. Everything's counted, and then there's an offer emailed to that used car manager, that parts manager that day, and it's either added to store credit or a check is sent out, or we decide to refurbish.
One of the things that hasn't changed at the car business, Dan, in 30 years is that box that the used car manager has, that cardboard box with all the key fobs. So that has not gone away. I think there's a couple things on the website that you want to share with us. Is that right?
I'd like to show how the ease of use.
Okay.
Talk about daunting is actually trying to find the right key fob for the right vehicle. A lot of these have different button combinations and different markings. So what we've done is we've simplified that.
Smart box.
And everything is done by year, make, and model. So we can take a Dodge Charger here, which probably has 3 or 4 different button combinations for the same year. And it's usually one more of these more expensive push button ignition smart keys that everybody's used to paying $200 or $300 for, where our cost is $60, and it includes the emergency key, so they don't have to pay anything extra for the emergency key. All the OEM part numbers are clearly marked in here if they want to reference those numbers. And then down below we've got all the related products, where a parts department doesn't always have access to replacement cases from the manufacturer. We're able to put that into the hands of the dealerships and offer that. So if the customer comes in, remote still works, it just looks, like it's been through a Category 6 hurricane. They can offer a replacement case as opposed to a brand new, fob for $300 or $400 that the customer may not be able to afford at that point.
Wow. It looks ease of use. So great price point. You put the dealer in their own key business. They're not reliant on some other vendor to come in that's out of their control, that may or may not be able to get there. You reduce the cost greatly. You take something that's a liability today and you make it efficient, and you know exactly where your costs are going in. If I'm a fixed ops director or a dealer or a service manager or a used car manager or a new car manager who wants to get it in game and do this the way that Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln has done, Dan, how do we get a hold of you and Auto Remote Direct?
You can contact us at 312-854-1112, and one of us will get you started right away. And it's simple.
I love it. Dan Drews, everybody. The fixed ops community has seen a whole lot of benefit from Auto Remote Direct. So, Dan, I want to thank you on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable for being with us today, and look forward to having you back.
I appreciate it. We're glad to be back, sir.
Dan Drews here today from Auto Remote Direct at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
It's great to have Dan Drews and ARD back at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And Ted, I also want to welcome back Andrew Wright with a timely message for our Fixed Ops audience and the automotive community.
I'm looking forward to this next segment because it really covers an area that we have not discussed yet in depth at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'd like to welcome back to the event Andy Wright, who is the managing partner at Vinard Dealerships. Andy, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. It's great to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, you've always got great insights. And I was reading a few weeks back on LinkedIn one of your articles, which caught my eye. And apparently, Andy, it's caught a lot of people's eye because it's entitled Auto Industry Stakeholders Need to Come Together on a Standardized Data Convention. And, it resonated with me because some of the speakers here earlier today on the Fixed Ops Roundtable have been talking about that data. And one mentioned the phrase, data is the new oil. And you're addressing this topic, Andy, head on. And, coming from your position, at the top in retail over several dealerships in Pennsylvania, very well respected in the industry, you've got a great megaphone with which to talk about this. So I'd like to kind of get your insights on it and, take us through what prompted you to write this and to bring this to the forefront.
Yeah. So really what prompted me to write this article was just, I've sort of had this lingering passion for this topic. And it really is the result of the exposure I've had at so many levels, particularly with some of my OEM brands. In this case, I'm one of the Northeast region representatives for Hyundai dealers on the Hyundai National Dealer Advisory Board. I serve on a subcommittee with Mercedes-Benz. And I'm involved with a number of other organizations, and I am in constant contact with people all around the industry. I'm on Dealer Built, our DMS company. I'm on their customer advisory board. Very good friends with Mike Trissati and his people over there. So I have a lot of insight, I have a front row seat to a lot of the things that are going on right now. But more importantly, the conversations that are being had. And one of the things that I think frustrates so many franchise dealerships right now has been the OEM companies splash into this whole notion that they're going to mandate vendors and solutions that we have to use. And it creates a tremendous amount of friction. And, if there are two things that are commonly, heard of themes that we're hearing about these days, it's number one, the dealership tech stack, if you've heard that lingo before. And number two, it's this whole notion of removing friction from the processes that go on at retail in our dealerships. So, and I just really believe that at the end of the day, the data is what is key. It's not so much about the solution and about if the widget is on this side of the screen versus that side of the screen, what color it is, what it looks like, all this other type of stuff. What I think it really revolves around is that we need to be able to have the insights into what's happening at retail. I certainly want to know that within my 5 stores. I know that our OEM partners would like to have some insight into that. I get that. I think that, for the most part, that can be a very healthy thing. But I also think that, we also need to guard against it going too far. But at the end of the day, the devil's in the data. Mm-hmm. So if we make it about the data, and specifically, as I allude to in my article, a standardized data convention that will enable or facilitate the free flow of data between all the industry stakeholders, we will go a lot further in reducing the dealership tech stack and in stripping friction out of these processes. Because if our people have to continue to bounce back and forth between all these disparate systems to get the job done, or if in my case, I'm just a small 5-store group here in Eastern Pennsylvania, I have a process and a vendor, or in this case, a software solution that I like to use across my platform because we've devised standardized processes that incorporate that. If I'm forced to then fold in another competitive solution just to check a box with the manufacturer so that I can qualify for a performance bonus program or something else along those lines, all that's doing is adding complexity, it's adding to my tech stack, and it's adding to the friction in the process. So again, it's all about the data. It's the data will set us free, and that's what we need to focus on.
We've heard so much about friction with the customer and making it a frictionless process, both in the front and in the fixed operations side. There's friction internally within the dealership and can be from some of these things that you're mentioning. Andy, here we are at the end of 2021, coming into a new year. We've seen a year now with a lot of highs and lows, a lot of things that we didn't anticipate going into this year. How could you possibly imagine these last 2 years, right? If you couldn't make it up. Why is this such an important topic right now for auto dealers to be concerned with?
Because I think, again, I think our OEM partners, they've been trying to assert themselves more on this front, and they've certainly been trying to insert themselves more on this front. And I think a lot of it has to do with some of the new competitors out there that we're facing, that whether it be the Teslas of the world or certainly some of the online retailers like Carvana and whatnot. I think the important thing, though, that we need to make sure we distinguish in our deliberation of this topic and whatnot is that we're still a franchised business model versus a non-franchised business model, and I still am a big believer in the franchise model as the best delivery mechanism for the retail customer to maximize or optimize their experience and really deliver the type of ownership experience that they're looking for. But again, it's all this sort of jockeying for position that's going on right now that's creating all this friction. And again, if the reason for a mandated vendor program on the part of an OEM is to gain insight into a dealer's operation, I believe that's fundamentally their primary goal with these programs, is to gain insight into what's going on at retail. And then secondarily, and hopefully, certainly not as big, is perhaps their desire to have a little bit more control of things. I think at the end of the day, they build the car, they sell it to us, we retail it to the end user. When we get into a situation where the retail customer enters that shopping funnel or that buying funnel, however you want to characterize it, it really needs to be taken over by our ecosystem that we control. Again, that doesn't mean that the manufacturer doesn't have insight or input into that. I'll give you a prime example. Okay. I have yet to come across an OEM manufacturer right now that can effectively share information and data with their dealers on our websites about cars that are currently in production or in transit with estimated and even remotely accurately close dates of delivery.
Yeah.
Now, if we can't accomplish that very basic function of being able to say, hey, we have this 2022 vehicle that is in production or in transit, and it's estimated to arrive at the dealership on or about this date, that's the beginning part of the process for a customer to find a vehicle that they want to buy and determine an estimated delivery date. We can't do that very basic fundamental thing right then and there. Wow. So how can we start to really look at the rest of the process and say that, well, this is all broken and we need to take control of this? So again, I just think rather than have this be an adversarial situation, let's figure out a way to organize the data. Let's figure out a way to put the data into a standardized data convention so that it can be shared across all these various systems and whatnot, and try to really foster conditions that will be conducive to constant innovation and service level improvement and all the things that we want if we're going to be able to compete in the market of the future. Because I have yet to come across an OEM mandated vendor program that hasn't resulted in two things: a stifling of innovation and a fall off in level of service.
Yeah.
But boy, the OEMs at the other end, they have a report that's got all their dealers rolled up into one, and all it is a bunch of data. So let's remove the solution. Let's focus on the data, and let's let anybody that wants to conform to that data convention have a seat at the table and compete and innovate and help us all get better. What's the downside to that?
Andy, as a consumer, I'm feeling the pain in some of the things that you're saying, because I'm waiting on a 2022 vehicle coming in for some time now. And I know the dealer very well. And I know the dealer does not know that information. And it's frustrating for me as a consumer to be able to. And the car is for my daughter, by the way, who's 20 years old, who doesn't have a whole lot of patience, okay, in her last year of college. You know, some of the newcomers, you mentioned Tesla, Rivian, who have used electrification to bypass the dealer franchise model. And I would venture to say that 99% of the people watching today are somehow vested in the dealer franchise model, as are you and I. What in your mind are some of the biggest challenges to overcome?
Well, I think that a lot of emphasis has been put on digital retail and digital retail solutions. And I have yet to find a player in the digital retail software business that has truly created an end-to-end solution that facilitates the capability to buy a car 100% online or 100% in store on like a tablet, for example. And again, there's a myriad of factors that are contributing to that. But let's talk about that for a second. So if there really aren't any solutions out there, there are a couple out there that I think are close. I've had some insight and some privy to, but for now, the players in the space, certainly the big guys in the space, they really are not much more than glorified lead generation tools at this point. They really don't facilitate the true end-to-end digital transaction experience. So I think that the big missing components are, again, going back to this tech stack and the fragmentation, we have all these players that focus on sort of one portion of the process and do it very well. So whether that be a trade evaluation tool, or that be a credit application, or an F&I menu system, and so on and so forth. So I think when we look at all the parts of the process, and then we ultimately get to the point where we're ready to consummate the transaction, because in virtually every instance, we have to deal with state laws that relate to wet signature on certain documents. I know here in Pennsylvania, we still require wet signatures on 2 or 3 documents that, until the state of Pennsylvania and the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation come around to passing laws that will enable us to do the transaction 100% digitally, we're never going to get there. But we can get pretty darn close. But even with that, we're still not where we need to be. So I think getting all the various players in the space to be able to sort of handle that data as the customer flows through the process, to ultimately the point where that packet of documents is produced for them electronically. The one I always hear is, why can't I buy a car on DocuSign? Have you ever heard that before? I don't understand why, I'm doing all this stuff on DocuSign now. Why can't I buy a car on DocuSign? Well, that's a very complicated answer, but the truth of the matter is that we don't have all the stars aligned yet to do that, but we're close. So I think if we can continue to work in that direction, I think we'll go a long way and a long way towards getting there and ultimately achieving that.
Andy, who should be leading the charge on this initiative?
So that's the $64,000 question, Ted. I don't know who that answer is. I'd like to think that, again, the industry stakeholders, who I define as OEMs, dealers, DMS companies, and third-party vendors, I think all 4 parties need to determine who that's going to be. NADA has an initiative right now. I believe it's called STAR, if I'm not mistaken, that they've been working on for a while. So I've had some conversations with Raphael and the team over there that are leading up that charge, and hopefully that'll start to pick up momentum. I told Raphael that I really believe that this needs to be a front and center issue at NADA this coming year. I think we're going to have a great show. I think it's going to be well attended. I think everybody's really energized for a variety of reasons. So why not use this high profile occasion to raise the profile of this topic? But that's above my pay grade. But so I think NADA can lead the charge.
Okay.
But maybe there's another third party that's out there that also will be able to step up and facilitate that. Maybe it could be you, Ted. Who knows? But I think the bottom line is that I think we need to start creating conditions so that we can have a conversation here, a serious conversation here about this, and really come together and try to solve this problem. Because again, if we continue down this path of erecting barriers and not breaking down barriers, it's just going to imperil our ability to effectively compete in the future market. So, that's kind of why I'm passionate about it.
I could tell. Andy, last question.
Yeah.
For today.
Sure.
Who has the most to gain if this were to happen?
The customer. No question about it. No question about it that, we all, but by all, I mean our dealer partners, our dealer brethren and sisters, and OEMs, everybody involved in this retail business wants the customer to ultimately realize the benefits from this collaboration. And right now, unfortunately, we're sort of letting these internal squabbles amongst the stakeholders impact the customer experience. And in some instances, it's driving people away. It's driving people to places like Carvana because they think that they can't achieve that Carvana type online experience at a franchise dealership. Well, that's just not true. And we know that. We, meaning the industry stakeholders, know that, but they don't know that. And it's because we've done a lousy job creating conditions that are conducive to that happening. So all the more reason why we need to do this, and we need to do it sooner rather than later.
Everyone, if you haven't read the article yet, we're putting up a link on the screen where you can go ahead and access Andy Wright's article. And this is just the beginning of this conversation, but Andy, I can tell there's going to be a whole lot more coming. So thank you for bringing this to the forefront. I know you're going to be back. We're going to have some more to say on this as time goes on. Everyone, if you'd like to reach out, Andy Wright is the managing partner at Vinard Dealerships. Very easy to reach on LinkedIn and, of course, through the dealership website as well. Andy, thank you so much on behalf of the fixed ops community for sharing this with us today and spending some time to walk through this.
Thank you, Ted. It's a pleasure. I'm happy to be on anytime. Thank you.
Andy Wright from Vinard Dealerships here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.